Satamangala here, the Reverend of the Revolution, welcoming you to your daily revolution. Today's topic: decompression, depression, discouragement, and how to deal with it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We just came off of our Man Wealth Immersion. Immersion is a deep dive 4-day experience, well, a 6-week experience. There's 5 weeks of pre-event training, and then there's the 4 days of immersion, fully going under. And I gotta tell you, it was an incredible week. The man had life-changing experiences. Man went back home already posting, sharing. I'm having wives message me and tell me, Satema, thank you for what you do. Thank you for bringing my husband back to us and our daddy. Thank you. And I'm so grateful. And this happens every time. Now, you got to understand this. Immersion has this effect on people, and it doesn't come without a cost. So while we get massive transformation for the men who come into immersion or Shield Maiden Live or any event, any seminar, but I'm speaking specifically about what I do because I know what happens in our events. There's something that happens. The cost of it is the drain and the energy that gets taken from me as a trainer. Not just me, but every program I've ever run for the last 4.5 years. Whether it's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 5 in the morning till 10 at night. What we're doing here is we are giving life to people. I love in the Old Testament, it talks about breathing life into people. And there's a lot of fact and truth and the ability to give life. See, life is not just about having a birth, literally. It's also a figurative birth and being reborn. And so Friday morning, I jump out and go have a run, exercise. Saturday, go run and exercise. But there's a cost to having leaps of growth and leaps and bounds of expansion. And that cost is depletion. I'm depleted. I'm incredibly depleted. And because I'm depleted physically and mentally and spiritually and emotionally, the cost of that is fatigue, being tired. And when I say tired, it's not like we just, I stayed up late one night. No, the build-up, the creation, the coaching. When a man or a woman comes to our events, there's so much energy into this. Now, you may not do what I do, but in your work and in your life, there are spiritual peaks or financial peaks in your life. There's times where you are on this massive expansion and transformation. And I will tell you, just like I experienced, there's a cost. There's a depletion that takes place. Because you're giving so much time, energy, and money, the depletion will have an effect upon you. So what does this mean for my family? My wife knows, and I know, that because there's this depletion, there's this fatigue, there's this giving of life and energy, the consequence becomes, it's difficult. And most trainers will just continue to tell you, no, I'm driven 24/7 and I grind and it's 24/7. No, the reality is this: when you do what we do, like an athlete who goes and performs at a high level, it requires you to do this thing called decompression. To decompress, to have space. If you don't take the time and the energy and the resource to have space, the cost will carry for a long time. The cost will be you not being short with your family, being less effective in doing what's required, the necessary required actions, and hitting your key performance indicators. So decompression, number one, when you come off of these high peaks, these spiritual moments, these big financial gains, these physical events, your Ironman, you've got to take time to decompress. You have to. So how do I decompress? I sleep, I hydrate, I turn electronics off, and I sleep. Good example, yesterday I had a meeting on Sunday morning, and I'm shooting this on a Monday, and normally I have a church meeting and I go to church and then I have a meeting after church. So Sunday's a pretty busy day for me. Although it's a day of rest, it's a day of rest from my regular labors. And It was brutal. I left the meeting. I came home. I took my church clothes off. I laid on my bed and I told my wife, baby, I need to sleep. And she's like, you better do what you got to do. And I slept for another 4 hours. I slept all day on Saturday. We drove to a wedding. I slept in the car. And my wife knows, even my sons know, they have an idea. They're starting to figure it out. Like when daddy goes to make a difference for other men and other women, daddy's going to come home a bit depleted. No, this is just part of life. This is part of the natural consequence of the job and the work that I do with people. And therefore, decompression becomes necessary. So I sleep, I hydrate, and here's the most important thing. I don't have anything about it. Now, I'm sharing with you I don't have anything about it, but here's the reality of what happened. I forget, like most human beings, I am invincible, I am powerful, I am a champion, I'm a leader, I can grind. And I found myself yesterday, Sunday, depressed and discouraged. Why? Because I was making up a story and a meaning to the way that I was feeling. I shouldn't be feeling this way. What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel down? Why am I not more excited and motivated? How come I don't want to have anyone in my home? Every Sunday I feed these guys, these missionaries. They're missionaries from my church. They wear white shirts and name badges and ties, and they're great young men, just phenomenal, incredible, young, committed, hardworking men and young women. And I want you to know that they were in my home, as they are every Sunday after church, and we feed them every Sunday. We've been doing this for 2 years. And part of the reason I do this is, number one, I love them. I was a missionary once. And I remember those Sundays after church thinking, man, would love to be in someone's home to just have a good lunch. And so I feed my missionaries every Sunday. And they were in my home yesterday, and boy, I wanted to be alone. You ever feel that way? Like I didn't want to talk to them. And there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with me. The challenge is that I'm depleted. The tank is empty. There's nothing there. And if I forget that when I come off and I forgot, and I was beating myself up all day, I was like, what's wrong with me, man? Something's wrong with me. Yeah, an author, a coach, a speaker, trainer, and yet I know the frailties of being a human being who has desires to do great things. Well, my wife had a great conversation with me. She's like, baby, remember you just came off of immersion and you made a difference for these men. She's like, look at the messages that are coming from the wives and from them. She's like, you need to sleep. And I even had plans to get to the gym this morning at 5, and I woke up at 5, and I'm like, no, I need to stay in bed. But see, no one is going to tell you these things. Everyone's just going to tell you to just grind and get up and do the work. There's a time and a place for that. But all things, let me say this again, all things must be done in wisdom and order. All things must be done with the right context. So we're grinding and working all last week. It's a grind. It's 4 a.m. till 11 at night every day. And it's not just like we're sitting in a room. We're working, we're speaking, we're coaching, we're teaching. Energy is on point all the time. So yesterday, I come down off of this. Now, decompression to depression. And I just understand, and I have a glimpse of what people would feel like being depressed. Boy, this was me yesterday, guys. This was me. And I just had to remember that depression and discouragement sometimes, and even oftentimes, not always, but can come when we are in a state that is fatigued and broken down, and we're going through a decompression after long events, after the high of the Ironman, the high of the Super Bowl, the high of making all that money, the high of so many things going on in our lives. Run an immersion. Changing lives. Changing lives is not some easy cakewalk. Changing lives requires work and grind and heart and soul. It's messy, it's tedious, it's laborious, it's mundane, it's monotonous. But that's the same thing as running a company, dealing with employees, dealing with people everywhere they're at in their life. All kinds of people. Whether they're your high-earning executives, whether they're your mid-level managers, or whether they're just the employee who's just starting out and you're giving them an opportunity to be a part of your company. I was discouraged. even last night, beating myself up. Now, here's what I know. The enemy, the opposition, I'm going to give you some words for it, the resistance, the force of average, it will come in behind you. It will come in and try to take you down. It will try to get you to believe that you are nothing. When you are in this fatigued and depressed state, it will get you to believe that you are not worthy. That's just how it works. After you have these incredible spiritual moments, it will get you to believe that you are not worthy, that you are not good enough. My goodness, we just changed some lives. And I was having these temptations. I thought, oh, this will be a great podcast. So my message for you today, when you are going through fatigued states, be ready for all the feelings that look like depression and discouragement. I'm not good enough. Who am I? Be ready for that. I felt it, and it was in full force. The very jaws of hell were open. Now, some of you might be listening to this and saying, come on, Satema, really? And my answer is really. If you could crack my skull open and cut me open and have a look at my life, I'm telling you right now, you would realize that, wow, this is real. The darkness, the evil, the resistance, the enemy, it's going to come after you. So don't be discouraged. Don't stay depressed. Decompress. Don't meditate, and take the space and time. Even this morning, I've altered my day these next few days to get back on track. I'm still going to get my workout in today. I already listened. I studied this morning, listened to a book for about an hour in my bed. I just laid there and listened to stimulate my mind. I shared a couple things on Facebook. Said a prayer with my boys, dropped them off at school. I got my youngest one here in the car with me because I got to take him to school in 45 minutes. Can you say hi to everyone?
Hi, what's up?
My little 5-year-old. That's it. And there's always going to be those couple days, perhaps a few days of decompress where you just got to rest. Let your body catch up. Let your mind and heart recalibrate and allow everything to be restored, because you will be depleted. If I need to decompress, I guarantee you do too. So my friends, this is me being real, being authentic. Don't make up unnecessary stories when life gets challenging, when things get hard. Do not beat yourself up. And especially don't think that there's something wrong with you, because that is how you will be tempted. That is how the force of average, that resistance, will try to come at you. And if you're going to go make a difference for people, if you're going to live a powerful life, it's just the natural part of life, the ups and downs, and being aware, highly aware of what's going on. This is Satemangala reminding you, if you're going to create a life of real radical results, a life that you love, like the way that I love my life, it will require you to get into a relentless pursuit with the ruthless commitment to pay the piper every single day so that you can get to the top of your mountains, where your prize, your promised, and every possibility that you could ever want is just waiting for you. The revolution has begun when you join us. I'm out. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com and join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.